Okay, now looking at the text, so in the forethought, his little prologue here, very useful, very rich text here where uh, he introduces himself to the reader and presents his, the way he's going to go about things, right? So he introduces the idea of the veil here. Um, he introduces, who his audience is, who he is, and what he's going to try to say. And then again, most importantly, he talks about the construction of the text, the conceptual metaphor of the veil, which will also come out in this idea of double consciousness, and then the epigraphs that I mentioned in earlier in my video presentation here. And these are the chapters, right, that we read. So we read all of the chapters, but the emphasis should be on what we emphasize, I should say. Forethought, chapter 1 of our spiritual strivings, chapter 2 of the Dawn of Freedom. I think it's an important chapter. It gives you the history of Reconstruction and the major movements that go on there, but um, not students don't always find that the most useful one to work with, but I think it is. So anyway, chapter 1, chapter 3, the Booker T. Washington chapter. This is the fight over both education and political action. Uh, the training of black men, chapter 6, and then chapter 10 of the Faith of Fathers. That's the religion chapter. Chapter 6, going back to that, training of black men. That's also an education chapter that can be go with chapter 3 of Booker T. Washington. Oh, and I forgot chapter 4. This is the meaning of progress. This is where he uses memoir and sort of literary fictionalizing mechanisms. He talks about the story of Josie, etc. So we did deal with that too. Okay. So anyway, getting back to here, chapter 10, Faith of the Fathers, Religion. Chapter 11 of the Passing of the Firstborn. That's when he, again, memoir, talks about his son dying. We spent, a good, amount of time on that. And then, that can be connected back to chapter 4 of the meaning of progress, if you want to work those two together. Chapter 12, the coming of John, was a literary, it's a short story that he invents to, again, try to pierce the ideological foreclosure of the topics he's discussing. And finally, the Sorrow Songs, where he deals with the Negro spiritual and the musicological analysis of them. So those are the major chapters to use. I've highlighted those in each text.